Welcome everyone to Fall Calm Careers Night here at the Academy of Art University. I'm your hostess, Talia Thompson. Joining me tonight, my beautiful co-hostess, Vanessa Salas, and tonight is going to be a great night for everyone here. Tonight's going to give students here an opportunity to meet and greet some media personnel working here at some great companies in the Bay Area.
Yes, tonight is a great opportunity for students to learn how to get a job and most importantly, where to get it. Joining us tonight, we have our first guest speaker, Melissa Thompson, who works in University and Diversity Relations at CBS Interactions. Let's give her a round of applause, everyone. Thanks, guys. Our second guest speaker is Zach Todero, who is a production manager at Pac-12 Networks. Give him a round of applause. Lastly, a student here at the Academy of Art University, Garrett Bradley.
Unfortunately, tonight, the representative from NBC Sports Bay Area could not join us due to illness. However, we will continue and carry on with a great panel here because we have some great people here to talk to you guys. Each speaker will take about 5 to 10 minutes to give their insight on what they do with their companies and give you guys some tips to share. We do recommend students to take notes during this presentation, as you guys will have an opportunity afterwards to ask questions.
Yes, so let's go ahead and begin with Melissa Thompson from CBS Interactive.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much first and foremost for coming out. I know it's a Tuesday and a school night for you all, so I really do appreciate it. Like our lovely co-hosts were mentioning, I work for CBS, specifically for the Interactive Division, which is pretty much the entire digital footprint of CBS. So whenever you think of social media, any of the things that live online, so .coms, all the way down to the OTT stream system. So if you guys are used to over-the-top television like Hulu, Netflix, on-TV applications, as well as mobile applications, all those actually do fall under our division and then my purview. So I am the University Relations and Diversity Program Manager, which is just a really long, fancy title for I am an intern wrangler. So hopefully you guys are looking for internships. I'd be more than happy to talk to you guys about that. We do have a lot opening actually in about a month. So hopefully, you'll get some tips and tricks tonight on, how to beef up your resume and make it really competitive, especially in this field. I do screen about 7,000 resumes per intern season. So I've definitely seen a lot and I can tell you, what works well, what doesn't. On the flip side, the other kind of part to my job is diversity. So a lot of people, I think that means, are you black? Are you not? Are you white? Are you not? Are you female? Are you not? But for each group, I love that part of my role because I actually get to partner with a lot of our senior managers and our senior leadership and say, what does diversity mean to them and their group? Which I know might be confusing. So I'm in the HR department. So when you think of HR, it actually is highly female. So someone that we're looking for that's a diverse candidate might actually be a male. So just kind of, getting a more holistic view of what diversity is and educating our leaders on, where the career and where the industry is going is something that I do on the other side too. So I won't keep talking. I'll let my other panelists talk as well, but I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We appreciate it.
Melissa, I do have a question. So often we hear stories of intern personnel receiving emails from students, trying to apply for internships and stuff. Can you just stress to the students here how important it is to have good communication skills as well as grammar and punctuation?
Yeah, so I'm going to be totally honest. I am the absolute worst speller, on God's green earth. But one thing is that a lot of our ATS systems, which is applicant tracking systems, it's what you all apply to. So when you put your resume through a system, we now have different algorithms and AI to actually read through a lot of your resumes. So even if I don't personally catch some of these spelling errors, because like I said, worst speller ever, something will. And it'll actually kind of auto-kick your resume out sometimes. So that's something that you really, really want to make sure that you're always reading, rereading, and then giving to 10 people to read as well. I always give my interns the advice that if you're nervous for your advisor or your peers to see your resume, what makes you think putting it out to the mass for a job is a good idea? The more eyes on a resume, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Zach Tadero, who is a production manager. Zach, take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zach Tadero. I'm a production manager at Pac-12 Networks. Basically, what I do in my position is I am in charge of everything technical that goes on with our 850 live events. So that goes with booking how many cameras, what type of cameras, our fiber transmission, our satellite connection, what kind of mobile unit trucks, what kind of crews we're going to need, and what kind of complements that the directors and producers request for each show. So essentially, all the shows are kind of filtering through my team before they reach air and before they reach crewing. So we're kind of the middleman between programming and the actual production. Another part of my job is student outreach. As I'm doing that today, I usually go on to each campus once or twice a year, take a group of students through TV trucks, kind of show them what each piece of equipment does, try to get students interested in different roles. Currently, right now, you guys are actually set up really well being in the Bay Area. There are two of our schools, which equates to about 180 to 200 broadcasts at Cal and Stanford. So it's a great opportunity for you students to just reach out to me and try to get involved in actual live television, nationally televised productions. We hire about 1 to 4 students per broadcast. So there's tons of opportunity in the Bay Area, and we are always looking for new student talent to be poured into that talent pool. So,
Thank you.
Zach, I have a question. The Pac-12 Network only has a handful of internships. What can these students do to differentiate themselves, to get into the business?
Those internships are more Pac-12 athlete-based. So the internships are a little bit different at Pac-12 Networks. They kind of look at it as a way to move the athletes into the network to try to get that viewpoint. But the way that we look at student outreach is you're able to already work for us and get paid for us as students. So those 400 job openings that we have for students throughout the school year, those are going to be your way to get your foot in the door, to aim toward that full-time position, to be able to aim toward a full-on freelance position. So while a lot of companies emphasize internships, it's a little bit different at Pac-12. We emphasize student involvement in our actual live productions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is a student here, Garrett Bradley. Garrett, tell us all about it.
All right, all about it. So I don't really have any set formula for any of you guys to follow other than just really put your head down and grind. I'm going to pull a Gary Vee right now and really just give you that hype man talk. How it works for me, a lot of it was just networking, using social media and all of these new tools that we have all been given. And really, I just took that and, I don't know, there was a portion of time where I felt weird hitting up strangers on social media or anything. But then, you start to realize, I can really find new mentors, new peers, just new inspiration everywhere you look, on every page, every swipe, whatever. And so my biggest client right now is Diddy. I work for Combs Enterprises and all of his various companies, whether it's Ciroc, Sean John, mostly for his own personal social media content. And the way that this all came about was one night I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw one of my idols. He posted, "I'm looking for an intern in LA." And so immediately, 5 minutes after he posted that, this was at midnight or something, I don't know if I said that, but I DM'd him. I just told him, dude, I am so hungry right now. I will pack up all my stuff right now and couch surf until this really gains some traction. And he replied to me within 10 minutes, told me how much he appreciated the hustle and that he would have just some assignments for me over the next couple weeks and we could just take it from there. That was 7 months ago now, and I was in Italy all summer. I worked remotely. I was there for school, but I still had the opportunity to work remotely for Diddy and Combs Enterprises. And then as soon as I came back, I just kept that momentum going and quickly picked up a bunch of new artists. And I've been shooting mostly videography for these other artists. I got paired up with this guy, Corey Anderson, through a DJ that I had shot a video recap for years ago at Temple SF. For little to nothing. I think I got $100 off that shoot, which is something everyone should kind of get used to in the beginning stages. You will work for free or very close to it, whether you know it, whether you agreed to it, or whether you agreed to it and then something else happened. You just have to be prepared for that. And nothing is a failure in that situation too. Like if you don't get paid, as long as you deliver and nothing, you can carry on your reputation. Even if you didn't get paid, they might link you up with somebody else. Like this guy, Corey Anderson, he manages basically the next MIA. If you guys are familiar with Paper Planes, that smash record that really got popularized off of Pineapple Express. This girl's name's Raja Kumari, and I might get to travel India with her for the next couple of months, just off of this one connection from 3-4 years ago. And yeah, I mean, I think you guys hopefully have some questions for me, and I can really gear my answers towards, like actually helping you guys get to that next step if this is like what you guys want to pursue.
Thank you, Garrett. Garrett, I do have a question for you. I know you worked with Cardi B recently by shooting a video for her birthday celebration. How was that? Cardi B is a really famous artist right now. And for you to work with her, how did that happen?
Well, so this is all through Diddy as well. So Diddy wanted to take the whole team out to Drake's first night of his 6-day LA run, right? Everybody saw that. So basically his personal photographer, Carlos, the guy that I work with, who got me, was my initial contact point to Combs Enterprises, asked me 3 hours before the party starts, like, hey, you want to shoot Cardi's birthday tonight? I was like, sure, why not? I'm here. So that's like another thing, just, you got to know when to say no, but I think just there's nothing wrong with just taking on pretty much anything that comes your way. Just move like water, follow the path of least resistance. You might fall a couple times. Don't let that stop you, though. Just if this is what you want to do, you'll find a way to do it, and it will find you. I mean, the people who succeed at anything are the people who just keep doing it, the people who do it the longest. So I'm a firm believer in that. And yeah, it was a wild, fun night. I met the Migos. I met a bunch of NBA players. I asked Quavo to get a shot for me, and he said something I can't really repeat, but it was hilarious. And yeah, it's every job. I mean, everything's great. You never know what to expect.
Thank you, Garrett.
Now that, you guys shared your little stories here, I think we're going to give the students here an opportunity to ask their questions. So if you guys have questions, just raise your hand and we'll come and bring the mic to you guys. So who wants to go first?
Don't all run at once. Any questions?
I would love to hear a little more from Melissa and Zach about specific job opportunities / internships that are coming up that might appeal to our communications students specifically. We've got everything here from producing, shooting videos, editing videos, being in front of the camera, motion graphics, across the board. So what might appeal to these students specifically?
Yeah, I can go first. Like I said, in about a month, our internship opportunities are opening. Just piggybacking off of all your advisors, please do, write your email down. That's how you can get in contact with me afterwards. I'd be more than happy to kind of elaborate on any specific opportunities we have. Year over year, we do have about 100 internship opportunities starting from the spring going all the way through the fall. And each role is completely different. So for me to list them all off, we'll be here all night, so I'm not going to, but we do have a lot with communications. We have a lot of video producers. We are a huge media company, have been the #1 rated network for 16 out of the last 17 years. I always say I don't know what happened that one year, but it was before my time. But we have a huge presence in the media, sphere. So we also need really, really great students, and we have about a 40 to 50% conversion rate in our intern program. So we really do believe that, we are finding the absolute best talent, making sure that we're helping them grow, learn, develop when they're with us, take those learnings back to school, and then hopefully when they do graduate, either, come back with us as a freelancer. If, shooting Cardi B's party, I'm not going to hit against that. That sounds awesome. If that's what they want to do, or if they do, want something more permanent, we have those opportunities as well. So I think, full-time internship, even part-time freelance, we have a lot of different opportunities. One of my favorite roles to kind of brag that we have is within our games team. We do a lot of e-gaming, but we also do a lot of, social media stuff. And I put quotes in because we actually have people whose jobs all day, all night is to create memes. We have meme curators, meme creators, and it's a whole meme team. And that, I forgot what their actual title is, but that is what they do all day. And it's kind of funny because when people think, when things go viral, sometimes it just naturally happens. But, sometimes it is our teams that are creating this content. And once that's widely distributed, we kind of see the payback of that. So if, even social media, if you guys are a huge meme person, there's an opportunity for you there too. So the possibilities really are endless.
Mackenzie has a question for Zach.
Starting as an intern, is there a lot of room for growth within the company? Do you do a lot of internal hiring or?
We do a lot of internal promoting. I think that the best way to get your foot in the door is what I was saying earlier, is just work on the live productions, at the live productions. So you may start off as a production assistant or a runner or parab operator, but as soon as you feel as though you're becoming a skilled person in that set, we do a lot of training that's available. We do a lot of, we try to kind of groom the next group of students to be able to step into those more skilled positions. As for like getting an office position, it's a little bit different. We don't really have the internships that lead into office positions like that. We hire a lot of entry-level positions as production coordinators, travel coordinators. There's a ton of different positions. There's our digital team. We have about 250 people in our office, so it's a pretty big office. But yeah, I would just say just keep an eye out for those opportunities. Get involved with the Pac-12 network so you already have Pac-12 network written on your resume when you're applying for a full-time position. So it never hurts to be able to say, oh, I helped out on a couple of your broadcasts. Now I want to apply for an office job because I liked working for you guys. So that would be my advice.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. I'm just curious, are there any internships specifically for students who are interested in on-camera work?
Guess that's for me. Yeah, so when I say interactive and digital footprint, everyone automatically thinks like, oh, engineers, it's not for me. But we actually are the 6th largest internet network in the US. So that means that all of our digital content is streaming so much content that it actually does put us into the top 10 category, which is great because when you think of top 10, it's usually the Google, the Facebook, or Yahoo, these search engines, which would make sense why everyone's going there first. So the fact that we're a media company in the top 10 is huge. But that being said, we also have a lot of on-air talent that just lives online. So a perfect example of this is our CBSN. It's our 24-hour news app that streams just news all the time. And technically, since it never hits broadcast, it's all digital talent. So we have a huge team and a huge department all around this new application, and we have a lot of on-air talent. Granted, it is better when people can kind of pivot to different roles too, so you're not just on-air talent, but you have experience writing scripts. You know what angles would work well, so you don't have to go through as much coaching. Just kind of little added skills will always help you in that field, especially on the digital side, because we're looking for people to pivot all the time. That it's hard to say, I want to just be like on air and an anchor and that's it. Even our sister station, KPIX on Battery Street, Channel 5, we work with them really heavily as well. Even their on-air talent still pivots and helps other departments too. So having that extra knowledge is definitely going to help you, but we do have opportunities. Yeah.
I think Garrett mentioned an important point earlier on. We talked about networking. So if you guys do have questions, please don't be scared to ask. I think they're here for you guys. So, yeah.
My question is for Melissa. You said you get about 7,000 resumes. What makes a resume stand out to you besides the experience? And
yeah. So I can answer, and I'd love to hear from you guys as well, just because every recruiter, every person that looks at a resume is always going to look at something different. So for me, we get about 32,000 applications in a 2-month period. I personally view about 7,000. 600 typically make it to the first round interview stage, and then from there we typically hire about 100. So that's a pretty large funnel coming down. I think my two biggest pieces of advice, one, make sure that you always tailor your resume to the job application. And I know I hate editing things. It's like one of my least favorite things to do. But I always tell my interns, if you can't spend 5 minutes updating your resume, like, do you really want that job? Is that really what you're wanting if you can't put this effort in? And you always want to look at the qualifications and skill sets and make sure that exact verbiage is on your resume, especially with all these ATS systems automatically kicking people out. So I don't know if you guys have been on LinkedIn and it says like, you match with this job 60%. And you're like, LinkedIn, how do you know that? You're like some super genius. They just read exactly the words that the job description has and exactly what you have in your profile and then match it up that way. Same thing with any ATS system. It's going to do the same thing. So it's only going to show me maybe the top 50%. So that's really important to do that. Second thing is make sure when you guys are listing out your experience, you always want to make sure it's relevant to the job. So I know a lot of people here say, oh, well, I was a dog walker for 5 years and it shows determination because I was doing it for 5 years. So I'm going to put that on there. That's valuable real estate. Don't put that on there if that's not, the job that you're wanting to go for. Put class projects. Put, things that you're doing on the side. If you shot your own movie, put that on there. That's so much more relevant. And now I understand, the equipment you use, the skill sets you have, and it speaks so much more to you than if you were just to put basic work experience. So those are the top two things for me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. I actually sat down with a few people at my work and just asked them what exactly excludes or immediately shines bright when you're looking at a resume, and they all said grammar and spelling. And their exact words were, how much detail do I expect you to have in your professional career, and how much detail are you showing in your first step forward to that company? So as much as it does kind of stink that one misspelling can get you weeded out, an employer looks at that and says, this is their best foot forward, and they couldn't put the effort to just double check that. So it just kind of is your first introduction as a worker, and it just kind of portrays not a lazy worker, but someone who just doesn't double check their work. So it's important to have that. And I just want to reiterate what Melissa said. It is important in real estate. You have the ability, if you have the space on a page and you're just trying to fill stuff up, don't write weird sentences that just stretch it out. You want to be concise on all your sentences. You want to include everything that's relevant. You want to make sure it's in an order that makes sense, that builds up your career, that kind of shows where you've grown and where you've come from and what kind of equipment you've learned with. And for us specifically, what kind of equipment you learned with, what kind of audio equipment, video equipment, switchers, all those little key words really help the HR department kind of file you into a department. But that being said, there's also so many different avenues at Pac-12 Networks. If you're applying for a travel position, then maybe the one thing that they're looking for is basic office coordination, basic travel coordination skills, being able to use Microsoft Excel. You want to look at what the job is requiring and build your resume for that. You shouldn't have one cookie cutter resume that you're just auto dumping into every single application that you put in. You want to look at the job posting, look at your resume, tailor it to fit that job posting, and put your best foot forward and make sure everything's spelled correctly and written out as neatly as you can.
I guess I can kind of speak to it as well. Although I really can't help much with the formatting and all of that. I'm not going to check anyone's resumes. That's for sure. I just had Richard Hart check mine earlier, and he found who's in my Mac and Tierra will tell you 28 misspelled things or just errors in my resume. But the more I think about it, just because I have been successful thus far and I have great momentum with my freelance endeavors doesn't mean that one day I might not just want to settle down with Combs Enterprises and try to lock down a creative direction or any kind of real professional job. It doesn't mean I wouldn't have to put my resume in that stack as well. So I think it's really just important just stay up on it, and for sure, everything Richard Hart says, if you guys have his class, listen to it because they are to the T just reinforcing everything he's told us. So
I think one other thing to keep in mind when trying to get a job, if you were to come work a production at Pac-12 Networks, you are your biggest advocate on site. So if you're there as an entry-level runner, being there and doing stuff only when you're told and kind of sitting on your phone portrays one message, but someone who's eager and being a team player, able to step in, very adaptive, being able to go with the flow and do different stuff that you weren't originally thinking you were going to be able to do, those type of people stand out to us, and our crewers are notified of those workers. And those workers are the people who get callbacks, who get on the short list of the first initial call, and then separates them from the second list when they can't find anyone to fill those positions.
Any more questions from anyone here? Got plenty more time.
Do you think it's a better idea to apply to one specific internship that we want to pursue a career in, or just apply to as many as we can to just get the foot in the door?
I always feel like there's a catch-22 there. You know, if we have 7 video production internships available and you think you have the skill set necessary for every role, it makes sense to apply to all 7. You know, there's no harm or foul against that. I think what I can't stand is when I go to someone's portal and I would love to have them for a role, and all of a sudden I see they applied for 57 roles. You know, that's an automatic, like, wow, this person can't focus, they can't tailor. I don't even know if they like us that much or if they're just kind of like needing an internship at this moment. And now I'm already creating all these thoughts about you, which might not be true, but it's just because I think you spread the love a little too much, you know? But on the flip side, you know, I did start in recruiting as well, and that's a great point to bring up to a recruiter if you're ever in that job interview space where you have a competing offer or you are interviewing with other people. Recruiters are your advocates. They're never going to, you know, go against you. They're talking to you because they obviously like your skill set. So on that front, be upfront with them. Say, you know, I did apply with you guys, but I have you know, I'm going through the interview process with these 2 other companies. I just want to keep you posted. Because especially on my side as a recruiter, the worst thing is for us to give you an offer and then you say, oh, can you hold off for 3 months while I finish this other interview with someone else? You know, that's such a shot in the heart. But if we knew all that in the beginning, we can typically either speed up the process or sometimes kind of slow roll the process if we really want you there. So apply if it's only applicable to your skill sets and if you actually want it.
Melissa, thank you. Are there any more questions?
Okay, this one's for Garrett. First of all, I just want to say thanks for sharing your story. I think it's very inspiring for us students here, especially as our seniors. I'm just curious, with some of the people that you work with, have you ever had to make like a freelance contract? Or is it just like through your networking? Like, how did you do it?
I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of contracts written up for me, and most of like these bigger companies, yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that I get too, it might be a lot of work in a short amount of time for, you know, like $500 per like little deliverable, and I might get 5 of those in a week. I might get, you know, it just depends. But a lot of the paperwork that I've had to do is drawn up for me, and really I just sign on the dotted line and trust. So I would definitely recommend, you know, like if you know anybody in any kind of like legal profession, have them look things over. I constantly have my mom, my grandma, any business owners that I know, anybody who is willing to read something for me, I have them read it and just, you know, make sure it's in your best interest. So. But yeah, definitely that's one thing I will probably face pretty soon here is writing up my own contracts as I move from like this videography space to more filmmaking, which is, you know, like big budget music videos, things where I am looking for talent, I am looking for crew, all of these other things. So.
Shalia, thank you so much for your question, and thank you for your insight, Garrett. We have another question right here.
So for the lady on the left and the gentleman in the middle, I was just kind of curious as to what the culture or like the of your work environment looks like. I kind of have a sense of what yours is on the far right, but Like, what is like an average day for you? Like, how is your office work, or what is the culture like where you are?
So our office is a very young, fun office. The culture is very much trying to help you with your work-life balance. We all work in teams, work together. The production operations team is about 20 people, so we all kind of work in tandem with travel, booking for crewing, and crewing booking for prod ops, and prod ops booking the equipment for the crew. So we kind of all work together. A lot of communication, a lot of back and forth. But then we have the people on site for each individual event, and they're kind of their own little network of employees working that one event together. And you have your director and your producer who are overseeing this whole entire thing. And then you have your unit manager who's making sure everything is filled out paperwork-wise and everything flows. And that environment is much more fast-paced. That environment is you have to make sure that you're doing your job because you're pulling the ship that's going, you're rowing the ship, and if you stop, then it's going to mess up and turn the ship in a different direction. So when you're a camera person, you have to be making sure you do your camera operator role correctly to keep the production going smoothly. So it's a lot of teamwork on site and in the office, but I'd say it's more fast-paced on site and a little more laid back and work-life balance and really good in the office.
Yeah, I would say for CBS, culture-wise, by the way, I will say I love this question. So if you guys are ever in an interview and you don't know what to ask, a hiring manager or anything, always ask them about the culture because you can find a lot of insight into a company, more than just obviously like what's on a splash page. So I would say similar thing. When I started at CBS, I was like, oh man, what am I doing? I'm going into old school media. It's going to be a lot of suits. It's going to be a lot of stuffy people. Like, am I making a good career move? I think one of the things I absolutely love about CBS, especially the interactive division, it is a lot of young blood. And, I don't think age sometimes has to do anything with it, but it is a lot of, new ideas, cutting edge technology. We always want to be #1 rated network. That's always going to be our goal. So I think the thing with our teams is we collaborate a lot to make sure that if one team is making a mistake, all of our teams don't do that, and you can only get that through communication. Our division alone is about 5,000 employees. So when you think about that, we do little tester groups, and if it absolutely fails with them, now we know. And, you do have kind of a big network to back you up as well. But I would say collaboration is kind of our key component when it comes to our culture. And then everyone's a super hard worker, and they're really, really smart and super humble about it too. So it's really awesome to be in an industry where you admire your peers and you really respect what they're doing, and you think like, wow, you're so smart. Like, I'm really happy I have this job right next to you. And that's a great space to be in. You never want to like have a team where you just are super frustrated with someone or they aren't pulling their weight. You guys have probably had class or group projects and there's like that one person and you're like, God, like Jimmy, I'm sorry if anyone's name is Jimmy, but like just pull your weight, and that doesn't cut it in the real world. So I think, just having a really cool collaborative vibe is all about our culture.
Thank you. Question over here?
I have a question. Ask both of your company. Do you hire international students? And do you have any tips for an international student to prepare their resume?
Yeah, we do. We sponsor OPT, H-1B, as well as any STEM visas. It is primarily in the tech field, just because you have longer OPTs with the STEM visa. But I would say in regards to any recommendations, usually I would say a lot of our visa students have a lot of work experience and then they go into their master's program or undergrad. So don't undermine yourself with that. I would definitely put, your past experience on your resume, just because that is traditionally, what we see is they might have done stuff in this industry for 5 years, but they're like, oh, it's before I went to college, so do I put it on there? Yes, absolutely. It doesn't matter if there's a gap in your resume. One of the most frustrating things for me is when people don't put relevant projects or skills on their resume, and I only find out by talking to them, and I'm like, why isn't it on here? So that was one of my biggest pieces of advice. And for some reason, specifically see that with more international resumes.
Yeah, for our company, we hire any student that's able to work a live television production. So it doesn't matter if you're international or local, or as long as you are willing to travel to the Bay Area or to whatever campus you're nearest to, we can always use students on those productions. So we're open to any student. A lot of people think like, oh, I have to be a Pac-12 student to work a Pac-12 broadcast. That's not true. We've already hired a handful of students from AAU, and we're looking to hire more. We're definitely looking in the Bay Area especially.
So we do have a lot of talented students here, but we do have a lot of talented student athletes too. And this question is for you, Zach. Would you recommend them putting that they are a student athlete on their resume to kind of give them like that, one up on someone else, or?
Yeah, I think they definitely look at that. So if that's an option to be able to put on your resume, it shows a lot more than just like, oh, you were a student athlete, you're good at this sport. It shows a lot of teamwork ability and dependability, and I know that us just being a sports network, having sports knowledge makes you more marketable. Not saying that you need sports knowledge to be able to work there, but to be able to be the scoreboard operator for a water polo game, you have to be able to know how to keep score in water polo. To be able to run camera for wrestling, you have to be able to know the timing, the rules, what's going on, why is this person out of bounds and now they're all of a sudden standing up. You have to be able to follow the sport that you're in. So having those, that set of sports knowledge is extremely helpful. If you have unique sports, we cover 850 events, so that's more than just your basketball, baseball, and football. That is water polo, cross country, rugby. We cover every single sport that you can think of pretty much. So having those unique sports will make you stand out. We're always looking for people that can keep score for wrestling and keep score for water polo and be able to keep stats with those types of sports. So yeah, definitely put it on your resume.
Thank you. Melissa, I have a question for you. If someone wants to apply for an internship, how do they go about their way to do it?
Yeah, so I think, Garrett said it best. Networking is absolutely fundamental, especially in the media space. So after this event, when I get your emails, I'll be emailing you all. Stay in touch with me. Just apply when they become available. So once I get your emails, I'll let you know when they do become available. I think sometimes it is all about timing. So getting that alert and not sitting on it for 5 months is definitely going to be in your benefit because we close these very fast. So I would say go online, to your point, apply to what is applicable to your skill set. And let me know after you apply, because I think that's sometimes hard is when someone reaches out and it's like, I'm interested in these 7 things. What do you recommend? And it's hard because there's so many paths. That's such a long discussion where it's easier if you apply for something and I said, okay, great, let me put you through to the hiring manager. It's just an easier, more efficient process. So whenever you're reaching out to someone, always kind of reach out with a purpose, I guess, is another kind of key takeaway.
Yes, thank you. Michelle, you have a question?
Piggybacking off of what you just said, I have so many students that come into my office and ask about jobs and internships, and there's so many. And I wanted to ask from both of you, where are you posting the jobs? Is it on the website and also through sites like LinkedIn? And how can they keep updated with internships and jobs that are coming available? Would you suggest for students to consistently be checking your websites or LinkedIn or both?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For us, LinkedIn only auto scrubs maybe 10% of our roles. So if you see it on there, it's typically either an older role, which is why it's all through their algorithm is how it's typically scrubbed and posted. So if you ever want the most up-to-date ones, there's not going to be a better place than the actual career site and career portal for us. So it'd be on our actual website under careers.
Our full-time and office positions are always listed on our website and on LinkedIn. But for the freelance positions in production on site, those are purely on a networking basis. So those are not posted anywhere. When we need a runner, what we do is we have a team of crewers one crewer for each kind of market. So we have the California crewer who crews all of our Bay Area games, and they will reach out to people. And if they don't have anyone on their list, they'll start asking people who they already have working that position and say, hey, do you know anybody else that could be a runner? And it's just kind of this big network. So I have cards, for my card and the crewer's card, and reach out, 100% reach out. If you want to work in TV for the Pac-12 networks, reach out. I've gone to campuses 20 plus times, told every single student I've ever met, follow up with an email, and I've probably had 10 or 12 total students actually follow up with me. And those 10 or 12 students are actually working for the Pac-12 networks. So it's really important to actually take the advice of following up. It's so helpful to just be able to have that person that is your advocate and have that person, oh, I know you. I'm friends of Zach. I listened to Zach speak at AAU. Can you help me get a position? And it's really important to network and to take us up on the ability to reach out.
Yes, thank you. Garrett, would you consider taking any internships or anyone to freelance with you?
Anybody who wants to help out that can do some physical labor or help me frame a shot, electrical, lighting, yes, anyone can hit me up. If it's in the budget, I love paying people. It's awesome, makes me feel good. But like I said, beginning, there's going to be a lot of just kind of like giving people favors, and maybe I can't promise money on every gig, but it's definitely every connection counts. So that's
Thank
all
you,
I can
Garrett.
say.
Passion for it, I think that's okay. I think the money we can.
Yeah, it's fun work. You get to meet some cool people. So.
Thank you, Garrett.
So I have a different type of question. So someone that's in a different industry, such as advertising, that also has media experience and digital experience too, what advice would you give in applying to like internships?
Yeah, I always think someone who has like a more diverse background is always great. So the fact that you know advertising and the media space is only going to help you, especially if you're going into like programmatic advertising or for us like digital advertising. Just because you already have that foundation and knowledge, I would definitely put both on your resume. If you're not interested in the media field, it's a little bit harder, just because that's mainly what I know. But I don't think it ever hurts you to be a well-rounded person. And so I think the more you know, it's not going to hurt you, if anything. So
I think for us, it just all depends on what role you're applying for. So we have extremely specific roles within each production. For example, like a technical director. There are certain skill sets that person needs to have to be able to apply for that job. But within our office, we have a lot more leniency, where we're looking for hard workers, people who are who are very teamwork oriented, and I don't think that they are looking for a specific major or a specific background for a lot of our full-time office positions. So definitely put it on there. Definitely apply if you're interested in the role. So.
Okay, we have one more question, then we'll wrap things up right here with one of our very own camera.
Hi. There's a lot of veterans that are in this program itself, and some of them may have just gotten out. Some of them have been out for 4 years, 5 years, and for me, I've been out for almost like 10 years now. So do you guys want to see that stuff on our resume, even if it doesn't necessarily pertain to motion graphics and stuff like that? But is that still something you guys look for or not in a resume?
Yeah, so I actually do handle all of the diversity program for the interactive division. So veterans are a huge part of that program. And I'm so excited to say that we actually have specific roles that we actually set aside for specific, veteran interns, because we want to give, people that just left the military that opportunity. So for me personally, that is something I look for, because, once again, we want these well-rounded teams, and, someone who's served our country might have a way different viewpoint and opinion that might be very, very valuable to specific teams, even though look-wise, it might not be like diverse, background-wise, that's super diverse. So, that's always something that I say, yes, put it on there. Once again, I don't think it will hurt putting it on there, but if you're trying to completely go from one field to another, That's where an objective section might really help you on your resume. I'm usually against objective sections because once again, it's valuable real estate, but especially when you're going from one field completely to another one. That's a nice little blurb where you can say, hey, I did, serve for the last 10 years. I'm looking to make this career change. And so it kind of sets the reader up for what they're about to expect on your resume. So, put it on there, but if it's a complete shift, maybe put some background around it.
Thank you, guys. So, just to kind of wrap things up, in a few short words from each of you, what would be your guys' final words of advice for our students here? We'll start with Melissa. I think she was ready.
I'm all about networking. Zach made a great point. I also attend a lot of these events. Every year we have over 100 partnership schools. And I always say, reach out if you have questions, let me know when you apply to something. And it's really mind-blowing how little of a percentage actually follows up on it. So just being, kind of a little bit more assertive, not aggressive, don't be that creepy person either, but, being assertive and making yourself known that you want something is always going to be super helpful. So I think, networking is key, and please do follow up with us, because when we say it, we really mean it, but usually it is a really small percentage that does.
For me, I would say work hard and network hard. You're not going to get your dream job right out of college. You're not going to be able to, you're going to have to pay your dues for a little bit before you get into that position that you're really, really excited about sometimes. So it's really important to work hard in every position that you have and meet as many people as you can, and know that those people have their own network. So meeting them is just putting your name out to a whole new network. So it's really important to network and work hard.
I'd say just find what you're good at and push that as hard as you can, and say no as little as possible unless it's like a clear, waste of your time. And just, network, like we've been saying. It really, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a couple of DMs that I'd sent, a couple of events that I had attended, and really just the hands that I shook. So.
Awesome, thank you. Can we just get one more big round of applause for our panel? And thank you so much to our career panel. You guys were amazing. Thank you for sharing your guys' insight. To our audience, thank you for coming tonight. And for those watching back home, we thank you guys. We hope you guys all learned some great things tonight, and we're excited.
Yes, and for anyone who has any questions, who needs help finding a resume or even an internship, you can go to Michelle Kennedy's office in the second floor here at 79 New Montgomery. Thank you everyone so much. I am Vanessa Salas.
And I'm Talia Thompson.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Are we done?